If you've been following us on our journey through the Gospel of John, then you know that we are halfway through. Today we are looking at chapter 11, and we find the story of a family that was much loved by Jesus: Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. Now we read that Martha and Mary had sent a message to Jesus, who was at Jerusalem, and they said to come quickly because Lazarus, the one that you love, is very sick. In fact, they said he's critically ill. And they expected Jesus to just, I assume, immediately get up and go to be there, because they knew that he loved Lazarus and was very close to their family, and that he would do whatever needed to be done in order to help. But Jesus instead lingered in Jerusalem and didn't immediately go to his friends. And even though they had urged him and said that Lazarus is critically ill, the Bible tells us that although Jesus loved Martha and Mary and Lazarus, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days and did not go to them. Finally, after 2 days, he said to his disciples, "Let's go to Judea again." Now, Martha and Mary had waited with great hope and expectation that Jesus was going to come to them, and if he came to them as quickly as they had expected, then they would experience the healing of Lazarus and everything would be wonderful with their family. But when Jesus didn't come as expected and anticipated, they in their own minds felt like not only something was wrong, but the fact that if he did come now, that it would be too late. In fact, when Jesus did arrive, they both confronted him. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Later, when Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell down at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." But it was a dead end for them, for everyone, not only for Mary and Martha, but also for Lazarus, who was trapped in the tomb in death. Now, here's a key principle that we need to understand as we read through this particular passage of Scripture, that transformation, the part where we are becoming more and more like Jesus as we grow in our faith with him, means that we have to practice active waiting. Now, tombs are a part of this process. Tombs are a place of hurt and pain, even death. And it's a part of the process whereby we are learning to trust God even when we feel like God is not running to meet our particular needs at this particular time. And so it seems that the reason that they become more intense is because God, or Jesus in this sense, doesn't really respond in the way that we expected him to. The Bible tells us that when Jesus arrived at Bethany, he was told that Lazarus had already been in the grave for 4 days. Now that seems like to them that it was indeed too late, a dead end for all of their hopes and expectations. Now, the dark tombs of our lives are those dark places that come to everyone. Things such as divorce or a doctor's diagnosis. It can be something as simple as a job loss or even death in all its forms, the pain and the uncertainty of life. Well, the tomb of Lazarus reveals the dark place that we all go when we realize that life is indeed real. And we all have stories of dark tombs in our own lives when it seems that Jesus lingered and didn't come whenever we expected him to, and we were left in that moment with a sense of hopelessness. The rock rolls across the opening of our own tomb, and it becomes a dark and quiet reality. But what Jesus says to everyone who is at the dead end, in the darkness of the tomb, without hope, the end is not the end, but it takes the solitude of the tomb to reveal that. You see, you do not belong in the tomb. You don't belong in that place of darkness and death. It is a place where we come to, in the silence of the darkness, realize who Jesus really is and begin to experience in that place something more of himself as he reveals himself that he could not do in any other way. Well, Jesus confronted Martha with this reality. Jesus told her, he said, I am the resurrection and the life. You see, Martha had been asked the question. He says, do you believe that Lazarus will rise again? And she said, oh, yes, Lord. At the day of resurrection, I believe he'll rise like all will. And Jesus says to her, listen to his words, Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, like everyone else, they will live again. Do you believe this? And Martha's answer was, I believe you are the Christ, the Son of God. You see, God uses the dead end times in our life to reveal his real identity. You're made for life, not death. Whatever your place of hurt and pain and loss are today is the place God brought you so that you can recognize Jesus and be resurrected to a new way of life. Christway, just keep reading John and trust God to reveal himself more every day.